Hi, welcome back to Psalms Today. Sorry for the slight delay on getting this video out. I've had COVID for the past few days and hopefully my voice can hold up for making some videos. So Psalm 66, it's a praise psalm. You'll see all the way through there's this kind of calling to everybody to praise God. And notice the start here, shout for joy to God all the earth. Sing the glory of his name. Give to him glorious praise. Notice verse 3. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds. So great is your power that your enemies come cringing to you. All the earth worships you and sings praises to you. They sing praises to your name. So in the first part of this psalm, if you keep reading, you'll see that there's kind of a recollection of how God in his awesome power has stepped in and rescued the nation, delivering them through the Red Sea on dry land and so on. So there's kind of a looking back and saying, look, God has done stuff for us. In the middle of the psalm, from verses 10 to 15, the psalm writer turns to God to address God, and that's the bit I want us to look at. And then the final part of the psalm, I think from verse 16 down to 20, is kind of a call to the congregation to come and praise God. So you've got this sort of call to praise, beginning and end, but in the middle there's this little bit where they're talking to God. And that's the bit I want us to look at. Because when you see a psalm like this, how awesome are your deeds, and look what God has done, it can it can sort of feel like, yeah, pray to God, he acts. Right? You pray to God, he rescues. That's certainly what it feels like when you're reading the Bible. They were in trouble and then they prayed and God answered them. What we can miss is that they were in trouble for decades and there was a delay before the answer. And so why do we think that we're always going to get instant responses when maybe God has purpose in delaying the answers for us too? So look at the center of the psalm here, verse 10. He says, for you, O God, have tested us. You have tried us as silver is tried. You brought us into the net. You laid a crushing burden on our backs. You let men ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water. I mean, look at the language there, this language of testing and being tried as silver is tried and being brought into a net and crushing burden. All this sense that God allowed these things to happen through fire, through water. God allowed these things. Notice the last line, yet you have brought us out to a place of abundance. So we've got all of this, and then God acts. It just struck me as I was reading this psalm that we can kind of lose track of time when we're reading the Bible and assume that disaster led to prayer, led to answer, and that rhythm is just constant. Oh, we were in Egypt, then we were rescued. Actually, there's a process. And as we face trials and difficulties in our lives, of course we should pray to God and trust him to deliver us from and to be with us in the midst of these trials and difficulties that we face. But these psalms are often written with the benefit of hindsight. And with hindsight, they can say, look at what God has done. There was purpose in it. And he has brought us out to a place of abundance. There is hope. There is hope of rescue. There is hope of coming out the other side. But there's also the purpose in the present struggles as well. He carries on, verse 13, I will come into your house with burnt offerings. I will perform my vows to you, that which my lips uttered and my mouth promised when I was in trouble. I will offer to you burnt offerings of fattened animals. With the smoke of the sacrifice of rams, I will make an offering of bulls and goats. So there's that fairly typical anticipation of what I will do when you answer. Okay, but I want us to make sure we've sensed the kind of the significance of verses 10, 11, and 12, that God has purpose when he delays the answer, but that doesn't take away our confidence that he will answer. And the final part of the psalm calls on the congregation to come. It celebrates God's answering of prayer, and it says this right at the end, blessed be God, because he has not rejected my prayer or removed his steadfast love from me. kind of thought that might come out at some point. It comes right at the end. So take a look at Psalm 66, and hopefully it can be an encouragement for you. Maybe you're going through a real challenging time right now. Maybe you're not seeing the answer to prayer yet that you want to see. God's got a purpose, but there's still hope.